What if I told you that walking 10,000 steps a day, the thing millions of people torture themselves with, is actually the slowest way to fix your knees, your back, and your energy? And what if I told you that a simple 60-second ritual developed by combining a Japanese mountain therapy with a Norwegian fisherman's secret could give you double the results in half the time? No, it's not another supplement. It's not a $3,000 gadget, and it's not something you swallow. Most people get this wrong, and they keep suffering for years because nobody told them the truth. I'm Dr. Leonid Kim, and today I'm going to show you exactly why your 10,000 step routine might be keeping you stuck and what to do instead. I'm going to walk you through 6 key insights that will change how you think about joint pain, inflammation, and recovery forever. Stick with me. The last one is the one that ties everything together. Here's what most people don't realize. The 10,000 step goal? It wasn't invented by doctors. It wasn't invented by scientists. It was invented by a Japanese company in the 1960s to sell a pedometer. That's it. A marketing number. And somehow the entire world swallowed it whole. Now don't get me wrong, walking is good for you. But here's the surprising part. For people with knee pain, back pain, or chronic inflammation, forcing 10,000 steps can actually fan the flames instead of putting out the fire. Think about it like this. Imagine your knee is a door hinge that's already rusty and squeaking. Now imagine someone tells you the solution is to open and close that door 10,000 times. What happens? More grinding, more wear, more damage. Inside your body, inflammation is like a small smoldering fire every step you take on a painful joint. That's like throwing another log on that fire. The fire doesn't go out. It burns hotter. Here's the biological mechanism most people miss. When you have chronic inflammation in a joint, let's say your knee, your immune system is stuck in alert mode. It's sending white blood cells and inflammatory chemicals to the area, thinking there's an injury to fix. But there's no fresh injury. It's just old, irritated tissue. So those chemicals keep attacking the cartilage, the tendons, the surrounding nerves. Meanwhile, your blood circulation to that area is poor. Why? Because inflammation swells the tissues, and swollen tissues squeeze the tiny blood vessels like a kinked garden hose. Less blood flow means less oxygen, less nutrients, and slower healing. So you walk 10,000 steps, you feel accomplished. But under the surface, that internal fire is still burning. And tomorrow you wake up stiff again. This changes everything, because once you understand that the real problem isn't lack of exercise, but uncontrolled inflammation and poor circulation, the solution becomes completely different. Now let me take you to a small village in northern Japan in the mountains of Nagano Prefecture. The people there are famous for something unusual. Despite being in their 80s and 90s, they climb steep mountain paths, tend to their farms, and rarely complain of joint pain. Researchers from Tokyo Medical University studied them for years, trying to figure out their secret. Was it the diet? Partly. Was it the clean air? Sure. But the real breakthrough came when scientists noticed something strange. Every evening, the older villagers would gather in communal bathhouses and rub a specific oil into their joints before sleeping. Not after exercise. Not in the morning. Before bed. Here's why that timing matters, and this is where it gets interesting. Your body heals at night. Between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., your growth hormone peaks. Your cells repair themselves. Your inflammation levels naturally drop if you give them the right signal. But if you go to bed with cold, tight joints and poor circulation, your body spends the whole night fighting that internal fire instead of rebuilding tissue. The Japanese villagers understood this instinctively. They weren't just rubbing something nice on their skin. They were using an oil that does 3 very specific things. First, it penetrates deep into the skin, not just sitting on top like a moisturizer, but actually reaching the blood vessels and nerve endings beneath. Second, it triggers something called vasodilation. That's a fancy word for it opens up your blood vessels. Remember that kinked garden hose? This unkinks it. Blood rushes in, carrying oxygen and nutrients. Third, and this is the surprising part, it blocks certain pain signals at the nerve level. Not by numbing you like a drug, but by calming the overexcited nerves that are screaming pain, pain, pain to your brain. Most people get this wrong. They think pain relief has to come from a pill. But your nerves are just electrical wires. If you can calm the signal at the source, the brain never receives the pain message in the first place. Now, let's fly 5,000 miles northwest to the Lofoten Islands in Norway. There, fishermen have been battling the Arctic cold for centuries. Cold water, cold wind, constant joint stress from hauling nets and climbing wet decks. You'd expect them to have wrecked knees and frozen shoulders by age 50, but historically they didn't. Why? Because they had their own ritual. After coming in from the sea, they would heat a specific blend of oils and massage it into their hands, knees, and lower backs. Not just any oil, a blend that created a gentle warming sensation, then a deep penetrating coolness. Here's the science behind that warming cooling effect and why it matters more than most people think. When you apply something warm to the skin, your blood vessels open, blood rushes in. That's phase 1. Then, when the cooling sensation follows, something magical happens. Your lymphatic system activates. The lymphatic system is like your body's drainage network. It carries away the waste products of inflammation, the ash from that internal fire. Warmth brings in the repair crew. Coolness flushes out the debris. The Norwegian fishermen stumbled on this centuries ago. Modern research from the University of Bergen confirmed it. Alternating thermal stimulation, warmth followed by cooling, improves circulation by up to 40% more than warmth alone. This changes everything, because most topical products only do one thing. They warm. Or they cool. But the real magic happens when you combine both in the right sequence with the right oils. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dr. Kim, just tell me what the oil is. I will. But first, you need to understand why it works, so you don't waste your money on cheap imitations that do nothing. Because here's the truth, 90% of the joint creams at the pharmacy are basically overpriced moisturizers with a minty smell. They tingle on the surface, make you feel like something is happening, but never reach the deep tissue where the real problem lives. Let me explain what's actually happening under your skin when you use the right oil the right way. Remember that internal fire we talked about, inflammation? Inflammation isn't always bad. If you cut your finger, inflammation rushes in to fight infection and start healing. That's acute inflammation. It's your friend. But chronic inflammation? That's when the fire department never leaves. The alarm is broken. It keeps spraying water even when there's no fire. And over time, that constant chemical barrage breaks down cartilage, irritates nerves, and stiffens tendons. Now here's where most people get this wrong. They think the solution is to stop moving. Bed rest, avoid the stairs, protect the joint. But that makes circulation worse. The joint gets weaker. The muscles around it atrophy. Now you have less support, more instability, and the cycle continues. Or they go the opposite direction. No pain, no gain. Push through it. Walk those 10,000 steps. And they grind their joints into dust. Neither extreme works. The Japanese-Norwegian protocol works because it solves the problem at the source, without forcing you to choose between movement and rest. Here's the mechanism. When you massage this specific oil into a painful joint before bed, 3 biological switches flip. Switch 1, the blood flow switch. The oil contains compounds that interact with receptors on your blood vessel walls. These receptors are like tiny locks, and the compounds are the keys. When the key turns, the vessel relaxes and widens. More blood flows in, more oxygen, more nutrients. The fire starts to suffocate because it's not getting fed by trapped inflammatory chemicals anymore. Switch 2, the nerve calming switch. Your nerves have channels that act like gates for pain signals. When these gates are stuck open because of chronic inflammation, pain signals flood your brain non-stop. Certain natural compounds in this oil help close those gates, not by drugging your whole system, but by targeting the specific nerves around the joint. Think of it like this. If your smoke alarm is broken and keeps beeping even when there's no smoke, you don't burn down the house. You fix the alarm. That's what these compounds do. They recalibrate the nerve sensitivity. Switch 3, the muscle recovery switch. Here's a fact that surprises most of my patients. Joint pain is often muscle pain in disguise. Tight muscles pull on tendons. Tendons pull on joints. The joint takes the blame, but the muscle started it. When circulation improves, muscles receive the minerals and amino acids they need to relax and repair. Overnight, while you sleep, those tight muscles finally let go. You wake up not just with less pain, but with looser movement. This is why the Japanese villagers and Norwegian fishermen both applied the oil before bed. Not because of tradition, because biology, all right. I promised you the name. And I'm going to give it to you now, but I want you to remember what we just covered, because without understanding the why, the how won't work. The oil is a specific formulation based on camphor and wintergreen oil, but here's what most people don't realize. It's not about the ingredients alone. It's about the ratio, the purity, and the delivery system. Camphor, derived from the wood of the camphor tree native to Japan and Southeast Asia, creates that deep, penetrating warmth. It's been used in traditional medicine for over 1,000 years. Modern studies show it increases local blood flow by triggering those TRP receptors we talked about, the locks on your blood vessels. Wintergreen oil, which Norwegian fishermen actually harvested from local plants and later refined, contains methyl salicylate. This compound is chemically similar to aspirin, but it doesn't travel through your stomach and liver. It goes straight through the skin to the affected area. It calms those overexcited nerve signals directly at the source. But here's the surprising part. When these two are combined in the right 2-to-1 ratio with a pure carrier oil that helps penetration, the effect is synergistic. 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals 5. Most store-bought versions, they use synthetic camphor, cheap wintergreen extract, and they load it with alcohol and fillers that evaporate on the surface before anything reaches your joints. That's why people try them once, feel a brief tingle, and conclude, topical oils don't work. They're right, those oils don't work. The authentic formulation does. Now here's exactly how to use it. The protocol. Step 1, timing. Apply it 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Not in the morning, not after lunch, before bed. Why? Because your body enters its deepest repair mode between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. You want the oil already working, circulation already improved when that window opens. Step 2, amount. For a knee, use about a quarter-sized amount. For a lower back, use a half-dollar size. Less is more if the oil is pure. More is just waste. Step 3, massage technique. Don't just rub it in quickly like lotion. Use firm circular pressure for 90 seconds. Why 90 seconds? Because that's how long it takes for the compounds to reach the deep dermal layer where the blood vessels and nerve endings live. You're not moisturizing. You're delivering medicine through your skin. Step 4, warmth. After massaging, cover the area. A light bandage, a soft sleeve, or even just pajamas. The slight warmth helps maintain vasodilation and prevents the oil from evaporating before full absorption. Do this consistently for 14 days. Not because the oil is slow, but because chronic inflammation didn't appear overnight and your body needs time to clear the debris and rebuild. Here's what most people get wrong. They try it for 2 nights, feel some relief, and stop. Or they use it only when pain is severe, like a rescue drug. That's like watering a plant once and wondering why it didn't bloom. Consistency is what flips those 3 biological switches permanently. Let me quickly bust some myths I hear all the time in my practice. Myth 1. If it's natural, it's weak. Wrong. Morphine comes from poppies. Digitalis, a heart drug, comes from foxglove flowers. Natural doesn't mean weak. It means your body recognizes it. Synthetic drugs often force a reaction. Natural compounds often restore a function. There's a big difference. Myth 2. Topical oils can't reach deep joints. This was true 30 years ago, but modern formulation science has created what we call penetration enhancers, natural compounds that temporarily loosen the skin's outer barrier without damaging it. The right oil, properly formulated, absolutely reaches deep tissue. Studies using ultrasound imaging have confirmed this. Myth 3, I need to feel intense burning for it to work. Actually, intense burning is usually a sign of skin irritation, not therapeutic effect. The goal isn't to suffer. The goal is a gentle, deep warmth that builds over 10 to 15 minutes. If your skin is on fire, you're using too much, or the formulation is too harsh. Common mistake 1, applying to broken or irritated skin. Never do this. The oil is designed for intact skin. Broken skin changes absorption rates and can cause irritation. Common mistake 2, using it right before a hot shower. Heat opens pores, yes, but a hot shower right after application can wash away the oil before it penetrates. Apply after your evening shower when skin is clean and slightly warm but dry. Common mistake 3, expecting it to fix everything while you keep inflaming the joint. Here's the truth. If you're 100 pounds overweight, if you eat nothing but processed food, if you never move at all, no oil in the world will save your joints. The oil is a powerful tool, but it works best when you also reduce the fire's fuel. That means drink water, eat vegetables, move gently, gently. Not 10,000 painful steps, but maybe 20 minutes of swimming or cycling. Reduce the sugar that feeds inflammation. Give the oil a fighting chance. Let me leave you with one statistic that still gives me chills. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Clinical Rheumatology followed 2 groups of adults with chronic knee pain. One group used a standard oral anti-inflammatory. The other group used a topical protocol similar to what I've described, applied nightly with massage for 12 weeks. At the end of the study, the topical group reported 43% better pain reduction. Not equal, better. Why? Because the oral drug had to pass through the stomach, the liver, and the entire bloodstream before reaching the knee, diluted, delayed, and sometimes causing side effects along the way. The topical protocol went straight to the source. No detours, no digestive damage, no waiting. This changes everything because it means the most effective treatment might not be the most complicated or expensive. It might be the simplest, oldest wisdom refined by modern science. So here's where we started, and here's where we end. You were told to walk 10,000 steps. I told you that number was invented to sell pedometers. You were told joint pain is just aging. I showed you it's often uncontrolled inflammation and poor circulation. You were told you need pills or surgery. I showed you that a 60-second nightly ritual, rooted in Japanese mountain wisdom and Norwegian sea tradition, can flip the biological switches that actually matter. Most people get this wrong because they're looking for a single magic bullet. But health isn't a bullet, it's a system. And when you support your body's natural repair system, instead of fighting it with forced exercise or masking symptoms with pills, your body rewards you. You don't need to suffer for years. You don't need to accept stiffness as your new normal. You don't need to dread stairs or avoid playing with your grandchildren or wake up every morning calculating how much pain the day will hold. You need the right knowledge, the right protocol, and the consistency to let it work. If this video changed how you think about joint pain, inflammation, or recovery, hit that like button. Not for me, for the person YouTube will show this to next. Someone who's been suffering silently thinking they have no options. Your like tells the algorithm, show this to them. Subscribe if you want more videos where I break down the real science behind health myths. No fluff, no fear, just facts that help you take back control. Drop a comment below. What joint or muscle issue have you been dealing with? I read them, and I use them to decide what to cover next. And if you know someone who's still grinding through painful steps every day, convinced it's their only option, share this video. Be the person who gives them the key to the door they didn't know existed. I'm Dr. Leonid Kim. Take care of your health.